The story begins with the conflict of Princess Kaiyan Yun Shuang with her father, as she begs him not to marry her off to Yuang Mansion, since she doesn't even know the lord of that mansion and wants to be free to choose her own husband. Her father, Kaiyan Aotian, explains that he also opposes the idea, but it was the emperor who granted the marriage, and if they reject it and defy the imperial edict, the entire family will be executed. Therefore, Kaiyan asks his daughter to do it for the family, but she continues crying, saying that she cannot do that to her only daughter. Kaiyan's wife intervenes, commenting that Yun Shuang is not their only daughter. Kaiyan then asks if she is referring to the one from Ling Yun Mountains, but after thinking about it, he refuses, as they would be deceiving the emperor, and if it's discovered, their whole family will be executed. His wife assures him that won't happen because the emperor said he grants the marriage with the eldest daughter, and Yun Shuang is not the eldest daughter. In any case, they can change their names and identities, they just need to plan everything very well. The princess stops crying, smiling victoriously as she remembers she is not the only daughter, as there is her older sister, who was expelled from the house and will be very useful if she can jump into that hell in her place. The decision is made, and after planning it, the royal wedding takes place, where the eldest daughter of the Kaiyan family, the protagonist, Kaiyan Yunzai, appears with a veil covering her face. After the ceremony, Yunzai complains about being busy all day and not being able to rest at night. Confused about why she has to wait doing nothing in a room, she tries to hurry the staff to start all the ceremonies. But the two people waiting outside laugh and explain that they can't rush that. Facing the princess's confusion, they clarify that it's something she will understand later. Yunzai soon misunderstands the servant's conversation and panics, hiding under a table. Shortly after, her new husband, Yu Ming, the lord of Yuang Mansion, enters the room. However, he only comes to clarify that if it weren't for the imperial decree, she wouldn't be qualified in the slightest to set foot in his mansion. He expresses that Kaiyan Aotian is a fool if he thinks he can control him with a political marriage, and she is nothing more than a pitiful pawn. He also clarifies that in his heart, only Nan Qingwan can be his wife. Finally, he says that since she enjoys hiding so much, he doesn't want to see her either, and then orders his staff to take her to Serene Pavilion. Still, Yunzai can't help but rejoice in being her parents' misfortune, as she no longer has to think of ways to please that lord. Shortly after, the girl moves to Serene Pavilion, an abandoned and dilapidated place with a bad reputation for having evil spirits. Yunzai gets angry seeing how horrible and destroyed the place is, but she assures herself that she can't fall so easily because she is a wild beast raised in the Lingyun Mountains. Therefore, she dedicates her night to trying to clean the place herself, but she soon realizes that it will be very difficult to do it alone. So she has no choice but to take out a small box that she uses to summon a spirit named Rice Ball. A little ghost gets angry at her for sealing him for so long. Despite the ghost's anger, the protagonist manages to convince him to help her, so they both succeed in cleaning the pavilion in a short time. Both are exhausted, but Yunzai decides to use some ninja clothes she found in the pavilion to go out disguised and search for food because she couldn't sleep on an empty stomach. The girl runs confidently across the rooftop since during the day she managed to see where the kitchen is. However, Rice Ball is left behind, realizing that something is wrong because something is draining his powers, and he is too weak to continue. Yunzai doesn't notice, so she keeps running across the rooftops but soon encounters Yuang, who immediately asks for her identity. The protagonist doesn't recognize the man either since she has never seen him before, but seeing that she is being treated like a thief, she acts defensively and asks who he is to be asking. Yuang lies, saying he is a mansion guard and asks if she knows where she is. Seeing that he is not taken seriously, she decides to attack, but her clothes become disheveled, and Yunzai points out that despite claiming to be a guard, he is not wearing any patrol uniform but a strange and long dress. The protagonist warns him that she will scream loudly if he comes closer, but is surprised to see the man approaching her with speed that leaves her unable to react. She blocks several attacks but realizes that he is an expert, and soon Yuang immobilizes all her joints, preventing her from moving. Seeing that Rice Ball doesn't appear to help her, Yunzai resorts to using a smoke bomb she learned from her master. This smoke causes Yuang to lose all his strength, and Yunzai takes advantage to flee, angry that she couldn't get any food. Yuang realizes he has no strength left and concludes that this smoke is definitely not something from the capital. The next day, as a reward for abandoning her, Yunzai has Rice Ball push her on the swing, and she screams uncontrollably for fun. All the commotion catches the attention of Yuang's brother, Yu Zaimo, who approaches to find out who is playing on the swing. When he approaches, Yunzai is surprised to see such a handsome man and asks if he wants to use the swing too. He kindly replies that he can wait until she's done, but Yunzai says it's already getting late and leaves the place. Yuzaimo follows her and introduces himself, saying that he hopes they can at least be friends. The boy asks for her name, but Rice Ball covers Yunzai's mouth and prevents her from saying it. When he finally lets go, Yunzai thanks him for his concern and clarifies that she is just a new servant in the mansion. Yuzaimo assures her that her occupation doesn't matter and asks for her name again, as it is impolite for him to have said his and for her not to. Yunzai ignores him and keeps walking, but he runs up to her and explains that if he knew her name, he would be able to see her more often. Tired of the boy's insistence, Yunzai grabs his arm and forcefully throws him down the stairs. Shortly after, Yuzaimo tells Iwang what happened, but surprisingly, he only expresses how enchanted he is with the girl, because no one had ever thrown him off their shoulder like that, and she seemed very interesting. Yu asks Iwang to give him that servant, but he explains that he has no idea what her name is and only knows that she is new. Iwang then asks him to bring all the new servants who have entered so that he can find the girl he is looking for. Yu is very happy, but seconds later, he becomes serious when his brother asks him about the progress of the investigation. The boy says that as they expected, Kaiyan Tian is finally revealing his true intentions. Iwang then leaves, assuring that he will get to the bottom of everything, and when he has the opportunity and the necessary evidence, he will eliminate the entire Kaiyan mansion so that they pay for what they have done. On the other hand, Yunzai spends her time walking while reciting a poem, but she is surprised to hear someone reciting the other part of the poem. Yunzai continues reciting poems while following the voice reciting beside her. When she finally finds it, she is surprised to see that it is a mare, and at the same time, the mare is surprised that she is a human. Still, both embrace each other, expressing joy that they both have knowledge of culture. The mare spends the afternoon sharing her grievances, explaining that she feels abandoned as she hasn't seen Iwang, her owner, for a month. Yunzai consoles her, saying that she can communicate with spirits and can find him to speak in the future. They form a great friendship, and Yunzai even gives her a new name, Zai Wai, as she didn't like the mare's previous name at all. Zai Wai is delighted with her new name, and Yunzai then asks if she can ride her for a while. The mare proudly agrees, saying that she will show her how strong she is. When Yunzai gets on the saddle, Iwang's younger brother, Xiao Po, watches her with confusion, since his older brother's mare is very loyal, and no one but Iwang could ride her, not even himself. Xiao Po approaches and stops Yunzai, asking who she is and who gave her permission to ride that horse. Yunzai becomes defensive and also asks who he is and if he is the owner of the mare. The boy lies, saying that he is the owner, but Zai Wai assures Yunzai that it's not true. Therefore, the protagonist replies that she will leave if he can prove that it's true. Xiao Po then tries to ride Zai Wai, but she doesn't let him and makes him fall, then she runs away. Yunzai calls him a liar because obviously it wasn't his horse. This makes the boy throw himself to the ground crying, exclaiming how bad of a person he is. Yunzai laughs but then offers her hand to Xiao Po, making him feel better by promising to teach him how to tame Zai Wai. After a whole afternoon of horseback riding, Yunzai returns home at night, asking Rice Ball to bring her food as she is hungry and exhausted. The ghost refuses, saying that she earned it by riding a horse all day. Suddenly, the lights in the house go out, and Yunzai asks what he's doing, but Rice Ball assures her that he didn't do anything. A green fireball then appears, forming a ghostly face and screaming at them in a terrifying manner. However, Yunzai and Rice Ball remain unfazed by this and instead, they both shout back at the ghost. This scares the ghost, and Yunzai takes the opportunity to punch it, knocking it to the ground. The girl lifts the ghost up, annoyed, and asks it to identify itself. The little ghost replies that its name is Sesame Seed and explains that it's just a low-level spirit in the mansion, so it asks to be let go. Yunzai clarifies that they can leave him alone, but he has to serve them completely from now on. Sesame Seed agrees without hesitation and soon fulfills his first task, bringing a bunch of food to the protagonist, making her very happy. We are shown a bit of Yunzai's past when her parents informed her that she would marry Iwang. She demanded that her Aunt Zhu, and her childhood servant, Kuei accompany her. However, Kaiyan Tian's wife told her that it's not good to let them go since if they take them, it could ruin the plan, and the risk of exposure would be greater. Furthermore, Aunt Zhu and Kuei have been sold to the family under contract, and Yunzai doesn't have enough funds to buy them. The protagonist had no choice but to leave them, unaware that her aunt would become seriously ill, and that Kwe would be working excessively under terrible conditions. Back in the present, Yunzai wakes up from a nightmare, very worried about her aunt and Kwe. Rice Ball encourages her to make a trip back home to see the situation since there is no one to watch over her in the mansion. Yunzai then decides to leave, dressing up as a man to go unnoticed. When she arrives in the city, she buys a lot of things, including products that seem to be a scam, until she reaches a place with a large crowd. There, she manages to see that everyone is observing the #1 beauty of the Nan family, the girl whom Yuang treasures in his heart, Nan Qingwan. Yunzai also watches her in astonishment, but soon she sees a man stumble into Nan, who immediately notices that one of her belongings is missing. Nan's maid tries to follow the thief, but Yunzai tells them not to worry as she will take care of it. While Yunzai chases the thief, Yuang heads to the city on a boat with his brothers, commenting on how horrible Caiyan Tian is for disregarding the safety of the citizens and for messing with them. Yu asks if that's why he married his daughter, but Yuang clarifies that it was a marriage arranged by his father, the emperor, so neither of them could get their way. Although deep down, Yuang considers the possibility of having his new wife as a hostage. Yu still mentions that it's a pity about him and Nan Qingwan, as they were separated by an imperial decree. Yuang's expression darkens as he remembers that General Nan fell into Caiyan Tian's trap, ending up 6 feet under, and although Caiyan Tian treated him like a son, he didn't have a chance to repay his kindness. For that reason, he will make Caiyan Tian pay with his life for what he did. Seeing Yuang break a jade chalice with his hand out of pure anger, Yu tries to change the subject and mentions that he heard he has a date with Nan Qingwan, but he finds it strange that she hasn't arrived yet. As they get closer to the city, they notice that some kind of fight is happening. Yuang becomes alert when he recognizes the same kind of smoke that the thief who infiltrated his mansion used against him. Therefore, he wastes no time in jumping off the boat and ending up behind Yunzai, placing a hand on her shoulder. But since Yunzai was finishing up her business with the thief, she thought Yuang was an accomplice. And since she doesn't recognize him yet, she grabs him by the arm and throws him over her shoulder with great force, just as she did with Yu earlier. Yuang gets up and grabs her wrist, asking where she got the smoke she used before. However, Yunzai responds that it's none of his business and punches him hard in the face. Yuang gets angry, questioning how she can hit a gentleman in the face. Then he knocks her down and asks if she is the assassin who attacked him in his mansion. Yunzai begins to realize who she is talking to since he referred to himself as Sir, which likely means he is her husband. Yuang threatens to break her neck if she doesn't respond, but Nan intervenes, concerned, explaining that the man he is threatening was only trying to catch a thief for her. Upon seeing Nan, Yuang focuses solely on her, leaving Yunzai and the matter of the thief behind. Yuang's brothers also arrive, and once the situation is clarified, they turn to see that the thief has disappeared. The only thing left is the belonging that the thief tried to steal from Nan. Meanwhile, Yunzai runs away from there, scared of having encountered Yuang in person without knowing it. Nan feels relieved to see that all her belongings are intact, so Yu mocks Yuang, saying that he attacked the good guy. But he assures them that the guy wasn't that good since 2 days ago. An assassin infiltrated his mansion and used the same smoke, explaining that the same kind of smoke is the secret weapon of the Western tribe, so it may be related to Caiyan Tian. Yuang tries to send all the soldiers from the capital in search of that man, but his brothers convince him to drop the matter and accompany Nan as long as she needs him. On the other hand, Yunzai rests in the forest, scolding Rice Ball for not helping her earlier, but it responds that it felt very weak. This doesn't ease the girl's anger, but Sesame Seed tries to support Rice Ball, saying that previously in Yuang's mansion, he also suddenly felt very weak and couldn't recover until the next day. Yunzai remembers the first time Rice Ball weakened as well, but not being sure, she decides to let go of the topic. Shortly after, she returns to the capital, still angry with Rice Ball, so Sesame Seed tries to cheer her up, and he shows her a fascinating inn, commenting that it is the best inn in the entire capital, and they have the best food there. Ruoyan, the innkeeper, kicks out a customer who didn't want to pay, and when she sees Yunzai's beauty upon leaving, thinking she's a boy due to the protagonist's disguise, she is enchanted. The woman makes Yunzai enter the inn and offers her a whole feast of food completely free, which makes the protagonist very happy. Soon, one of the employees calls her, informing her that one of the recurring troublesome customers has arrived. Ruoyan has no choice but to go and attends to Prince Junhee King, who frequently leaves his palace just to visit the inn and see her, as he is clearly interested in her. The prince asks Ruo Yan to accompany him, and in his room, he tries to convince her to move with him to the palace and be his lady. The woman refuses, trying to get the prince off her back as he is quite irritating, but he continues to insist. On the other hand, after finishing her meal, Yunzai leaves her room but overhears Ruo Yan calling for help, so she goes to find out what's happening. Seeing the man harassing the woman, the protagonist bursts into the room, ordering him to leave her alone. Prince Jun gets angry, thinking that Yunzai wants to compete for Ruo Yan's love. Jun lunges at her, ready to attack, but Yunzai evades him several times until she finally slaps him, sending the prince flying. Ruo Yan watches in terror and approaches Yunzai to warn her not to hit him. Jun's bodyguard appears out of nowhere, attacking Yunzai for assaulting the prince. Since the protagonist can't use her hallucinatory smoke in a confined space, she decides to create a distraction and then escape. Yunzai jumps from the second floor to the first, but in midair, one of the bodyguard's knives breaks the accessory on her head, causing the girl's hair to come loose, ruining her disguise. Right at that moment, Yiwang was arriving at the inn with his brothers and Nan. Upon seeing the girl falling, Yiwang runs and jumps without hesitation, catching her in midair. Having her in his arms and seeing her clearly for the first time, Yiwang realizes that she is the same person as before. Yu also recognizes her as the servant he saw swinging on the mansion's swing, so he takes her hand, delighted to have finally found her, and asks her to be his wife. Yiwang takes Yunzai's other hand, telling Yu that he cannot do that. But his brother gets angry, exclaiming that he always wants to take away his belongings. The protagonist walks away from both of them, angry, but soon Prince Jun also approaches her, commenting that he didn't know she was so beautiful and apologizing for being rude earlier. Yunzai becomes even angrier and hits him hard enough to knock him to the ground. Yu and Yiwang start fighting because while Yu wants to marry Yunzai, Yiwang wants to interrogate her. In the end, the argument ends as Xiao Po reminds them that they are with Nan, and she is supposed to be the priority. Later, Yunzai is taken back to the mansion, where she returns to her normal attire. Yu talks to her, explaining that he has truly fallen in love and wants to marry her. None of this matters to Yunzai, who refuses countless times until Yu is called away, leaving her alone in the room for a moment. Meanwhile, after investigating, Yiwang learns that the person they brought to the mansion is not a servant, as Yu had said, but the Princess Yunzai, his wife. Yiwang immediately goes to tell Yu while thinking about Yunzai, wondering if she is a spy sent by Caiyan Tian. On the other hand, when Yu returns to Yunzai, he notices that she has completely disappeared. Upon searching the place, he finds a jade and realizes that she has been kidnapped, so he immediately goes to his brother and explains the situation. Some time later, Yunzai wakes up tied up in a room where Prince Jun appears and explains that since she seemed so valuable to Yiwang and Yu, he also wanted to join in the fun. So, he will keep her in his mansion just to annoy Yiwang. Prince Jun tries to approach her, but Yunzai bites him fiercely, so Jun decides to offer her something nice to calm her down. Jun takes out a small box with a pair of earrings and says that if she promises to stay in his palace, she can have that pair of crimson earrings. Yunzai is greatly surprised to see the pair of earrings because they belonged to her late mother, and her aunt was the one who cherished them all the time. With a dark expression, Yunzai asks the prince where he got them, and he responds that they were a gift from Minister Caiyan Tian. The prince proposes again that she stays in his mansion in exchange for the earrings, but Yunzai refuses, revealing that she is the princess, the wife of Yiwang. This greatly surprises the prince, who screams in terror, but before he can say anything else, Yunzai frees herself from her restraints and hits him. Shortly after, thanks to the jade they found in the room, Yiwang and Yu come to the conclusion that Prince Jun was the one who kidnapped Yunzai. So in a short time, they arrive at their palace, demanding that the girl be handed over to them. However, to the prince's surprise, when he returns to the room, he realizes that the girl is gone. Yiwang threatens him and asks again where she is, but the prince taunts him, asking if he is anxious to find the daughter of his enemy, or if he has fallen in love with her. Yiwang becomes even angrier, clarifying that it's none of his business and stating that if he wants to die so badly, he will grant his wish. With that said, he starts to strangle the prince, but the prince only smiles, saying that if he kills him, the title of Crown Prince will be his again. Yiwang strangles him with even more anger, but Prince Jun's wife stops him, assuring him that neither of them has any idea where the princess went. After making sure she is telling the truth, Yiwang and Yu leave the place without further ado. Later in the night, Yunzai prepares in the Yi mansion to leave the place for good, packing her things, including the pair of crimson earrings she took from Prince Jun when she had the chance. Yunzai leaves the mansion, determined to find her Aunt Zhu and go to a distant place together since her father apparently didn't keep his promise to treat her aunt well. Sometime later, when Yunzai arrives at the Cayenne mansion, she notices that something is happening as there are more guards than usual. Since she cannot be seen due to the agreement she has with her father, she infiltrates the mansion secretly. Upon entering, luckily, the first person she encounters is Quer, who tells her while crying how much she has suffered in that place. Yunzai tells her that's why she is there, to find them and leave together. She then asks where her Aunt Zhu is, but Quer responds that she has no idea where she has gone. She explains that Princess Shuang said that Aunt Zhu has malaria and cannot stay there for a long time, so she expelled her. Furthermore, everything that was valuable to Aunt Zhu was taken by Cayenne's wife, Yunzai's stepmother, and there is nothing they could do since everyone in the mansion is controlled and terrorized by that woman and her daughter Shuang, who hasn't stopped bothering and torturing everyone since Yunzai left. Yunzai comforts her and assures her that she will fix everything when she talks to her father, but Quer warns her that she can't do that now. An important guest is coming to the mansion. The commander of the Western tribe, Bei Tang Lai, as recently Cayenne Aotian has been in contact with them, and although they seem friendly, they are very mysterious. Besides, Princess Shuang has taken a liking to that man, so she plans to attend the banquet to try to impress him. Quer is called to work, so Yunzai decides to go directly to her father. However, none of the guards recognize her as the princess because she was sent to the mountains when she was 7 years old and has never returned since then. Because of this, everyone thinks that Shuang is the only princess, and Yunzai has no choice but to infiltrate in another way. Yunzai decides to steal the uniform of one of the banquet maids, and after disguising herself as a maid, she successfully manages to enter. However, once inside, although her father sees her, he doesn't recognize her at all. The one who notices her is Bei Tang Lai, as when Yunzai serves his dish, he immediately notices the beauty of the girl and cannot take his eyes off her. Cayenne Aotian speaks to Bei, explaining that he prepared the best dishes for him, including a food sculpture, the mountain river art, representing the terrain of the two countries, showing prosperity and peace. Bei Tang Lai expresses how much he likes what he sees while keeping his gaze on Yunzai. The protagonist becomes confused when she notices how much he is looking at her, but soon everyone's attention is directed to one of the maids who steps on her dress and accidentally falls. Yunzai reacts immediately, quickly and skillfully preventing the maid from falling onto the important artwork, which impresses Bei. However, the stew that the maid was carrying inevitably spills onto the artwork, leaving a puddle on it. Cayenne Aotian stands up from his table, completely furious, causing the maid to be terrified and kneel, begging for her life to be spared. Cayenne then orders her to be taken away and severely beaten about 80 times. Yunzai intervenes between them, saying that they can't do such a thing since there is a guest in the mansion. But as Cayenne doesn't recognize his own daughter, he angrily exclaims her audacity in answering back and orders that she also be taken away and beaten. However, Princess Shuang calmly arrives at the scene, gracefully asking why they should be angry over two maids. Her father explains that the maid destroyed the mountain river art, which represents a curse between the two countries. Princess Shuang still explains that she sees it as a good omen because the stew that fell on the artwork can represent a body of water, indicating that the relationship between the countries will be closer than ever. Cayenne is truly impressed by his daughter's words, and his mood improves considerably. Princess Shuang smiles victoriously, but her smile fades when she sees Bei Tang Lai, as he has his gaze fixed on one of the maids and is not paying attention to her. Cayenne Aotian apologizes to Bei for the events and formally introduces his daughter. Bei Tang Lai looks at her disinterestedly for a few seconds but then returns his gaze to Yunzai and tells them not to worry. Shuang's mother tries to grab Bei's attention by mentioning that her daughter had a dress specially made for this occasion. Nevertheless, Bei only praises the words Shuang said about the artwork and then says that the maids didn't intend to do it, so he asks Cayenne not to be too harsh on them. Yunzai is surprised to see that the man is helping them, and Princess Shuang takes Bei's side, acting as friendly as possible and asking Cayenne to simply punish the maids by not giving them a month's payment. Cayenne Aotian finally agrees and orders the maids to leave the place. Shortly after, Yunzai sits in a secluded spot, feeling discouraged by everything that happened. Within seconds, Bei Tang Lai appears behind her, surprising her by getting close. Yunzai pushes him away, becoming defensive, so Bei apologizes with a smile, explaining that she just seems very familiar to him. He asks for her name, but the protagonist says nothing and tries to leave. However, Bei Tang Lai takes hold of her wrist and doesn't let her go, causing Rice Ball and Sesame Seed to try to help her. This doesn't work much, but Yunzai still manages to break free from Bei after slapping him, calling him a pervert, and leaving the place. On the other hand, news of Minister Kaiyan inviting the commander of the Western tribe reaches Yuang, who is also informed that Yunzai is in the Kaiyan mansion. Yuang only smiles at this discovery because it confirms that she is indeed a spy sent by Kaiyan Ao Tian. Some time later, Yunzai encounters her younger sister, Princess Shuang, who becomes angry upon realizing that she is the maid whom Bei Tang Lai couldn't stop looking at during the banquet. Yunzai reveals her identity, but despite Shuang realizing that she is her sister, she pretends not to know her and orders the guards to arrest her. Shortly after, she speaks with her, mentioning how dirty she is for seducing Bei Tang Lai at the banquet, despite being married to Yuang. Both argue angrily until Kaiyan Ao Tian arrives with his wife, and Princess Shuang immediately changes her attitude, starting to cry and claiming that the maid attacked her. Yunzai presents herself to her father, who finally recognizes her and asks her what she is doing there. She responds that she only wants to find her Aunt Zhu and Quer, clarifying that no one knows she is there. Her father scolds her, reminding her that if she does something inappropriate, it will harm the entire Kaiyan mansion, so it's better for her to return immediately. Yunzai makes it clear that she will return, but with two conditions: that she can take Quer with her and that he promises to help her find her Aunt Zhu to treat her illness. Kaiyan's wife and Princess Shuang try to prevent Kaiyan from allowing that, lying by saying that Quer is not suffering and that they had no choice regarding Aunt Zhu. Yunzai endures all the lies they tell until Shuang insults her deceased mother, pushing the protagonist to her limit. Yunzai can't hold back anymore and slaps Shuang hard, saying that she can insult her but never her mother. Kaiyan stands up furiously, demanding that she apologize to Shuang, but seeing that Yunzai doesn't back down, he orders his guards to take her away and beat her severely about 30 times. Yunzai is tied up, but still insists that she has done nothing wrong, so she prepares herself for her unjust punishment. But before they can touch her, Yuang bursts into the scene, ordering them to stop. The guards freeze at Yuang's authority, and the Kaiyan family approaches him, apologizing and bowing in a sign of respect. Yuang explains that he is only there to find his wife, and while he speaks, Shuang blushes as she sees how handsome he is, thinking that maybe it wouldn't have been a bad idea to marry him. After clarifying everything, Yuang says that he has important matters to attend to, so now that he has his wife, he will leave immediately. Yunzai takes advantage of the situation to say that the reason she left his mansion is that she felt very lonely. So she asks if she can take her childhood maid back to the Yi mansion with her because that way she won't run away again. She also innocently says that it shouldn't be a problem if her father finds out the whereabouts of her Aunt Zhu within 10 days, since if she doesn't see her aunt again, she doesn't know what kind of trash she will speak about in the future. Yuang sees through her intentions, noticing how clever the girl is in taking advantage of the power dynamics. Kaiyan becomes angry when he discreetly threatens him, but he still controls himself and says that he will do his best. Thus, Yunzai manages to take Quer with her and leaves with Yuang, while Bei Tang Lai watches from a distance, smiling as he discovers that the girl who interested him so much is actually Yuang's wife. Time passes, and we are introduced to Chu Jiao, the woman in charge of the Yi residence and one of Yuang's many concubines. It is explained that Yuang has many concubines because they were all assigned to him by his former majesty. Jiao appears truly upset because unlike before when Yuang used to pay her more attention, being one of his favorites, he now ignores her and disregards her most of the time. Shortly after, the other concubines explain to her that Yuang currently has a new favorite, who is his wife, Yunzai. This infuriates Jiao, who one day decides to go out and finds Yunzai playing with Quer by the water pond. As she approaches, Yunzai accidentally splashes water on her, causing Quer to panic and apologize on her behalf to the woman. Jiao gets angry and kicks her forcefully, which angers Yunzai, and she asks why she hurts Quer when it was she who splashed her. One of Jiao's maids explains that she has complete authority over all the maids. Jiao drops the subject but still scolds Quer for the flower on her head, as it is considered a transgressive act for a maid to pick a flower for herself. Yunzai defends her, as she insisted on giving the flower to Quer, but they soon explain to her that it's the rules of the mansion. Therefore, Jiao orders her servant to slap Quer's mouth. Yunzai allows this, but only because Rice Ball and Sesame Seed are there to help. When the servant slaps Quer, she feels no pain, and instead, Jiao is the one who receives the blows. She stops everything and accuses Yunzai of practicing witchcraft, but the protagonist says that the rules were fulfilled, so she leaves the place with Quer. Jiao orders the maids to stop them and quickly approaches them, truly furious. However, in the midst of the conflict, Yiwang appears, causing rice ball and sesame seed to collapse without strength. Jiao immediately changes her attitude to that of a victim, and when Yiwang asks what happened, she tells the story in her favor. After much discussion, thanks to Xiao Po, Yiwang decides not to punish Yunzai. However, since she leaves without asking rudely, Yiwang orders them to be locked in the warehouse for 3 days. Jiao discreetly orders all the maids not to give them any food while they are there. Still, Yunzai and Quer manage to eat thanks to rice ball and sesame seed, who bring them food when needed. On the other hand, Jiao talks to her maids and orders one of them to find one of the best exorcists. Somehow, she has to expose Yunzai for her witchcraft to Yiwang so that he divorces her. 2 days pass, and Yunzai has a dream about her former mountain master. In the dream, memories of Yunzai's 15th birthday are shown, where her master gave her a crown of flowers, specifically made with magical orchids, special flowers that do not grow on Ling Mountain. When Yunzai wakes up from the dream, a group of maids take her away, and under Yiwang's orders, they all start to groom her until she looks very beautiful. Later, without knowing where she will go, Yunzai gets on a carriage, but when she sees Yiwang inside, the girl tries to escape immediately. But Yiwang quickly catches her and makes Yunzai sit with him, forcing her to ride in the carriage. Some time later, they both arrive at a palace, where they meet Yiwang's brothers. There, the protagonist meets Yiwang's younger sister, Princess Lan Shuang, who is celebrating her birthday. They all have tea and chat for a while, and Princess Lan spends her time trying to provoke Yunzai to see what kind of person she is. Still, Yunzai is unaffected by any of her comments and manages to maintain her composure. Shortly after, she learns that it is the princess's birthday, so she invents an excuse to excuse herself for a moment and heads to the palace gardens. There, she dedicates herself to finding a gift for Princess Lan because even though the girl doesn't have good intentions towards her, her master taught her that this occasion is very important. Among all the flowers in the garden, the protagonist finds a little floral sprite who is surprised to realize that Yunzai can see her. The little sprite acts cautiously and asks who she really is. Yunzai whispers her response, and her answer is enough to convince the sprite to trust her. The protagonist then asks for help, explaining that it's the princess's birthday, and she wants to give her a floral crown. The little sprite asks which flowers she is looking for, and Yunzai replies that she needs magical orchids. The floral sprite is surprised and explains that magical orchids only bloom every 1,000 years, making them one of the rarest flowers among fairies. In addition, they only grow on cliffs and are protected all year round, so an ordinary person could never get close to one. Since she cannot offer magical orchids, the sprite creates a floral crown with Jai orchids, explaining that although they are not superior to magical orchids, they are also a treasure that blooms every 300 years, so the princess will surely like them. With the gift ready, the protagonist keeps it, thanks the sprite, and returns to the others. Before the birthday party begins, one by one, they present all the valuable gifts that each guest brought for the princess. When they finally finish, the emperor orders the start of the party, but Caiyan Aotian's wife interrupts, and she creates a scene, reproaching Yunzai for being disrespectful by not presenting a gift. Yunzai smiles and says that she does have a prepared gift, and it is surely something the princess has never seen before. Upon hearing this, Princess Lan yawns, expressing that she is not interested in her gift. Then Caiyan's wife calls Yunzai rude since Princess Lan has always been spoiled by the emperor, and she has already seen all kinds of treasures. Caiyan tries to stop the argument because it's the princess's birthday that matters, but the emperor speaks, expressing his curiosity about what the girl's gift is. Yunzai then shows her gift, explaining that it is a floral crown. Everyone starts murmuring, and her father insults her for daring to offer such a cheap and tasteless gift. Yunzai gets angry, but Yiwang rushes to defend her and also tells Caiyan's wife that causing a commotion in such a situation is very rude. Caiyan gets angry and starts arguing with Yiwang. Even the Empress intervenes, scolding Yiwang for not evaluating the seriousness of the situation. Seeing everyone arguing, Princess Lan puts on her floral crown and, very concerned about Yiwang, tells her grandmother, the Empress, not to be angry with her older brothers because she really likes her gift. When the Empress notices the princess, she is greatly surprised to see the floral crown and asks if those flowers are Jai orchids. Since those flowers only bloom every 300 years and are extremely difficult to obtain, They are quite precious. Furthermore, it takes a person with a high degree of heart to have the quality of caring for those flowers. Suddenly, a bunch of butterflies arrive at the place, surrounding the princess and surprising everyone. They soon realize that it's the scent of the Jai orchids that attracts the butterflies, making the princess very happy to be surrounded by so many of them. The Empress also expresses her joy as she had never been able to see those flowers in her entire life, having only seen them in portraits. Truly impressed, the Empress applauds with a smile, saying that it turned out to be the perfect gift. The Emperor also acknowledges that it is a great gift and that Yunzai put a lot of effort into it. With this, the Yi mansion gains a good reputation among everyone, and the Emperor finally orders the start of the party. As the party progresses, Yunzai continues to impress everyone. Even when it starts to rain and everything seems ruined, she uses her determination and skills to start building a roof so the party can continue. Seeing her sincere efforts to help, Yuang joins her, assisting in building the roof until it's completed. When they finish, Yunzai changes her outfit and presents herself to the Emperor, who waits for her, truly impressed. He tells her that she has done a great service for Princess Lan, so he was thinking of rewarding her. The Emperor asks Yunzai what she would like as a reward, but the girl responds that she doesn't desire anything because being able to help the princess continue her party makes her very happy. The Emperor is pleased, commenting that it's a great answer as it is evident that she is very different from the rest. Still, he tells her that in that case, she can claim her reward at any time. The party successfully concludes, and everyone begins to leave. But before Yuang and Yunzai depart, Princess Lan stops them. With a smile, she presents a gift to Yunzai, thanking her for the floral crown made of Jai orchids and for the roof she built to ensure her birthday could continue. Yunzai expresses her gratitude for the gift, and Princess Lan embraces her, showing that she has earned her affection after all. Upon leaving the palace, Yuang and Yunzai encounter Nan King Wan, who thanks Yunzai for recovering what was stolen from her that time. She explains that in the stolen purse, she keeps a jade talisman that her father left her, a very important object to her. Yunzai is glad to have been able to help, but upon seeing the jade talisman that Nan shows her, she becomes worried as she notices an evil aura emanating from it. Nan starts coughing, and Yunzai realizes that this evil aura has apparently already affected Nan's health. Therefore, Yunzai recommends that Nan wear a cluster of Bodhi pearls as it will help her a lot. She also tells Nan that when she feels better, she should visit her at her residence as she will seek a way to remove the poison. Nan accepts and thanks her for her help before bidding them farewell. In the carriage back to the mansion, Yuang asks Yunzai what she is planning, considering that her father is a greedy, deceitful, and disloyal corrupt official who let the army and Nan's father become a pool of blood. He asks Yunzai not to try to deceive him with her innocent face because he will make her father pay for what he has done. Nevertheless, he tells her that he will spare her life on the condition that she remains quietly in her residence and stays away from Nan. Yunzai tells him that she won't distance herself from people, explaining that she is not her father and she is certain she can cure Nan's illness, so it is something she won't ignore. When they arrive at the residence, Yuang sends Yunzai to her house, ordering that she not be allowed to leave without his consent. At night, Yunzai talks to Quer and complains about Yuang, but she still excitedly opens the gift that Princess Lan gave her. The gift turns out to be a whip, which Yunzai wastes no time in trying out with excitement. Yuang manages to secretly observe her from outside and becomes enchanted seeing her having fun. The next day, Yuang sends one of his maids to fetch Yunzai so she can come to his house. Although Yunzai doesn't like the idea, Rice Ball encourages her to go because she wants her to find out if Yuang possesses any kind of golden jade ring. That would explain why he and Sesame Seed weaken whenever Yuang is near. Yunzai agrees, but she ends up in a big conflict because of Jiao, so Yuang announces that starting from the next day, if Yunzai disobeys him, she will be punished. The next day, Yunzai has no choice but to serve Yuang personally, feeling quite annoyed. When she finally finishes everything, Yuang tells her she still can't leave and orders her to clean the garden before she can go. Yunzai becomes quite angry, but as she goes to the garden, her mood significantly improves because she once again encounters the floral spirit who helped her with Princess Lan's gift. This little fairy introduces herself as Xiaomei, and in addition to her, Yunzai also meets the tree fairy, Mu King, who effortlessly helps her clean the entire garden. Finishing much earlier than expected, Yunzai decides to swing on the garden swing. But while she's there, the dead tree of the swing starts to glow and suddenly comes back to life, revealing another fairy. A small old man who claims to be the Ginkgo tree explains that he has been sleeping for several years, but Yunzai has awakened him. Before he can explain further, he falls asleep again, and Xiaomei says that he may need some time to recover as he has just awakened after being sealed for a long time. Upon hearing the news about the tree that came back to life in an instant, Jiao once again asks her servant about the exorcist, and the servant says that he is on a trip and should return in a few days. In the following days, despite Yunzai cleaning and searching the entire house of Yuan, she never manages to find any golden jade ring. Yunzai decides to find out if he has the ring on him, so when she doesn't see it on any of his hands, she pretends to stumble and spills tea on him. She then volunteers to dry him off and takes the opportunity to check if he has any ring. Yunzai doesn't find anything, so she leaves Yuang like that and tries to leave, but he stops her, clearly upset. Yuang grabs her wrist, and Yunzai threatens to use her ultimate technique if he doesn't let go. However, he only pulls her closer and suddenly kisses her, not releasing her until Yunzai starts crying. Yuang is surprised as it's the first time he sees her cry, so he hugs her and asks her not to cry. But Yunzai punches him in the stomach and runs away. The next day, Yunzai reports sick to avoid serving Yuang, but he visits her himself and discovers her lie. They argue, and Yuang even kisses her again, but Yunzai asks him not to bother her again because it's best if they don't associate with each other. This makes Yuang leave angrily, thinking about all their encounters and realizing that he was falling in love. Shortly after, one of his informants, after much investigation, informs Yuang about the Cayenne family's lie, discovering that they sent Cayenne Yunzai, disguised as Cayenne Yun Shuang, the princess chosen by the emperor. Yuang smiles, as he can use that information against Cayenne since she won't be able to escape due to the crime of lying to the emperor. However, he decides to confront Yunzai first, revealing that he knows the secret of her family. She is surprised at first, but then gets angry and asks what he wants. Yuang tells her that he wants her to come to his place every day and serve him without refusal. With no other choice, Yunzai spends her days going to Yuang's house but decides to try to make him angry so that he asks her to stop coming. So every day, the protagonist creates one disaster after another, even going as far as burning the kitchen and breaking valuable objects. But to her dismay, Yuang doesn't seem bothered or affected at all by anything she does, repeatedly stating that as long as his wife is fine, nothing else matters. In the end, Yuang sees through the girl's intentions, so he remains unaffected, and Yunzai eventually gives up. After spending some time living together, one day Yunzai encounters a hostile demon in the mansion. The protagonist threatens the demon, but it still attacks her, hurling rocks at her. However, Yuang appears and saves her, thinking that someone was hiding and throwing stones, as he can't see the demon. Yunzai pushes him away, warning that it's something he cannot face, but Yuang approaches her again to protect her from another sudden attack, receiving a stake in his shoulder. When the demon attacks again, it is surprised to see Yunzai repel all of its demonic energy. The protagonist looks confidently at the demon, telling it that it can't harm her. However, the demon responds that it won't attack her and launches its second attack. Yunzai immediately realizes what it means, as the demon aims directly at Yuang, so she doesn't hesitate to jump in front of him to protect him. By doing this, Yuang is surprised to see her, and for a few seconds, we see what appear to be memories of their past lives, where Yuang and Yunzai were very happy together. Returning to the present, Yuang and Yunzai embrace, and suddenly, a jade ring appears on Yuang's hand. This ring activates a strong protective barrier that traps the demon, leaving it with no choice but to disappear. When everything is over, Yunzai takes Yuang to a room to treat his wounds, as he is quite serious due to the demon's poison. The old ginkgo tree examines him and then uses his magic to remove the stake along with the poison. Therefore, Yunzai is able to treat it as a regular wound, using an ointment given by the old man. The protagonist tells Rice Ball that she found the ring he mentioned, as it appeared on Yuang's finger. However, when the demon disappeared, the ring also vanished. The old ginkgo tree clarifies that it didn't actually disappear, but only appears when he is in trouble. Yuang eventually wakes up, and to Yunzai's surprise, he now has the ability to see spirits, so she introduces him to everyone she knows, including Rice Ball and the old tree, as well as all the others. Yunzai then notices that Rice Ball and Sesame Seed can now approach Yuang without weakening. The old ginkgo tree explains that it's because the crystal enchantment that restricted the demons from approaching was destroyed, and that's why Yuang can also see them. Despite not having more information than that, Yunzai decides to spend the following days taking care of Yuang, helping him with things that are difficult for him due to the wound on his shoulder. After some time, Yuang recovers, but he doesn't say anything, just to make Yunzai continue taking care of him. Yunzai continues living with Yuang, getting along with him and realizing her feelings for him. Wang ordered his personal servant not to allow anyone to enter his house to bother him for several days. But when Jiao finds out that he had an injury, she forcefully enters the house and upon seeing Yunzai, warns her to get out of her way. Wang gets angry with her, calling her disrespectful for daring to confront his wife in front of him and for defying his orders by breaking into his house. After scolding her, he orders her to leave immediately, so shortly after, Jiao leaves, completely furious, accusing Yunzai of doing something to Wang using some evil technique. Days later, Jiao decides to take action and finally brings the best exorcist she found, taking him to Yunzai's house while she was away. The priest starts working while Jiao oversees everything and the maids restrain Kwe and mistreat her. Sesame Seed helps her, and they soon start fighting the priest, but he summons a powerful boy who defeats Sesame Seed in no time. Shortly after, Yunzai arrives and finds the whole mess, and upon seeing Sesame Seed on the floor and Kwe badly beaten, she completely loses her composure. Yunzai gets very angry and slaps Jiao hard, making her fall to the ground while the other concubines watch. Jiao gets angry and gets up to confront her, but Yunzai doesn't hesitate to slap her multiple times, with great force. While the priest continues his ritual, Yunzai sees how the vegetation in the area begins to die rapidly, so she starts destroying his work herself, confronting the priest with her power. The priest is impressed by Yunzai's ability, so he tries to take her away to make her his disciple. But Wang arrives just at that moment, threatening him with his sword and angrily stating that no other man besides himself has the right to approach Yunzai. The priest confronts him, but upon seeing Wang's strength, he decides to retreat and leaves the place. Jiao approaches Wang, explaining that she only wanted to do the residents a favor by getting rid of the demons. Wang doesn't even let her finish speaking and points his sword threateningly at Jiao's neck, ordering them to leave the place. The old ginkgo tree takes care of healing Kwe and Sesame Seed's wounds, leaving them good as new. Some time later, without warning, Wang starts moving to Yunzai's house, explaining to the girl that from that day on, he will live with her to accompany his beloved wife. As the final scene, in the forest, we see the demon that attacked them before, informing its master that it has found the whereabouts of the ring. And that's how the first season of this anime ends. If you've reached this part of the video, let me tell you that you've been one of the few people to make it this far, so comment the word princess in the comments. Remember to subscribe to not miss any videos. With that said, see you in the next video.